And you're right, Jo.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of the beautiful people watching us in the world, or for those who are going to watch the replay. We are here with our second Wisdom Circle. Welcome to our Wisdom Circle, and we're talking today about returning to self and reclaiming your inner wisdom. And with me, I have some beautiful, beautiful women that are going to share their journeys with us as well, and also and inspire with their own wisdom within. So thank you for joining us, ladies. Really appreciate your time. I'm your host of this circle, Jo Anne Irwin, and I am here to serve you as the others are. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Please drop them in or join in the conversation with us. And I am a coach. I'm a woman's, I don't know, empowerment coach. I like to say intuitive empowerment coach, but I have done 40 years of, healing, doing the work, health and nutrition, spirituality, you name it, I've experienced it. And so I feel qualified to be able to be here today to serve you and share my own experiences along the way. So welcome, Rollie, Tywanah. I'd love you to just briefly introduce yourselves as well. And Sophia, our beautiful Sacred You host. Would you love to introduce yourself as well and just share a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. I am Tywanah Evette, also known by Thunderbird Rising, which is my native name. I am a high priestess, a shaman, a trauma recovery facilitator, and a spiritual guide. I help women go from purposeless, passionless, and powerless to full of power and purpose and passion.
I
And
love
thank you
that.
for having me here today. I am so excited about this discussion.
I love it. Thank you. Rollie, welcome.
So, Gigadome Migwin Quay is my spirit name, which means talking feather woman. And I work with women who have anxiety. And I bring in my 25 plus years experience of working in the mental health field, but I also incorporate that with moon medicine, which is incorporating energy healing, the lunar cycles, essential oils, like all that, those holistic practices that bring everything together into one package called Moon Medicine. And so, along with my own experience with anxiety, has given me lots of wisdom that I've been able to share and help women with being able to be on that journey.
Ah, that's so wonderful. There's so much anxiety in the world, isn't there, specifically
Right.
now? And thank you for joining us. And Sophia, would you like to share what you do?
Absolutely, Jo, and thank you. And can I just first of all take a moment to honor you for facilitating this wisdom circle, which I love, and I'm really grateful that I get an opportunity to be on here with the beautiful Tywanah and Rollie. So I am also have the honor of co-creating Sacred You, where we offer, these wisdom circles and panel discussions and all sorts of things, all about empowering ourselves and empowering others. And I really love this topic, Jo, because it's been something that's been close to my heart, my whole journey, my whole life, about really returning to self, really finding out the self. We spend so much of our lives, and this is a generalization, not everyone, but a generalization, and especially women, also men, but especially women, seeking, being lost, like I don't know who I am, trying to find my purpose, my passion, trying to find out who I am. So I love the topic. I'm looking forward to a wonderful discussion.
Thank you so much. And yes, it is about returning to ourselves, isn't it? I watched the Helen Reddy movie the other night, I Am Woman. Oh my goodness. So powerful to see women rise in that decade. I think it was 50s and 60s, and claim. herself through that process. It was phenomenal. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I had tears. I was up there with her, in the movie. It was phenomenal. Beautiful story of empowerment for women. And that's what I'm all about too. So thank you. So here we're creating a very sacred space, a gentle sacred space, just to pause and just return home for this time that we're together, to our truth, to our intuition, and also our inner wisdom. So I'd love us all just to take a moment to take a big breath together and close our eyes with an intention, something that you would love to receive from our discussion today. So just a big breath in and a big breath out. Slowly, slowly, slowly. We'll just take 3 of those breaths to release any noise that's around us, any noise of the day or the night. And again, with each inhale, welcoming a sense of presence and opening and opening. And release. Grounding in, grounding in, grounding in, totally present in the moment, ready to open the discussion, returning to self. Yeah, because today in this world, we're so often pulled out into thousands of directions, women, mothers, busy, entrepreneurs, are always being pulled in so many directions. So I'd love to ask, firstly, what does it mean to you, returning to self? What does it mean to you right now? What does it mean to you right now? Feeling into that question, returning to self. And whoever wants to jump in, please.
Returning to self is very personal and sacred for me, because it's me remembering who I am, remembering what I was brought here to do, and yet honoring those that came before me, that walked beside me, in front of me, and behind me. So returning to self has been a very sacred experience for me, because I remembered who I was when I was 6.
Mm.
But it wasn't until after I was 6 that I forgot how brave, how talented, how creative, how brilliant I can be, how I can come up with something in a moment's notice and put it all together. I forgot all that about me because the world and the noise, that we hear, it kind of gets in the way. But as I come home to me, I find myself in a happier state most times, because no one's telling me who I have to be. No one's telling me who I'm supposed to be. I know who I am now. And that homecoming was very emotional. It was extremely emotional. It brought about 3 days of crying that I didn't even know why I was crying. But it later came out that it was because I was merging back with me. I was remembering me, who I am. So it has been a very sacred and special journey for me in particular, in these last few months. And Rollie and Sophia know the story, but that's what it is. It's sacred. There's no better word for it than sacred and honor and special. Just to be able to remember who you are in this big, loud, distracting world.
I love that. I love that. And coming home to you, and it's a unique process for everyone, isn't it? It's so beautiful, and just feeling into that freedom, right? Of where we were before that, before we realized who we were. And that 6-year-old, was free. And I look at my grandchildren and just see how amazingly free they are, no inhibitions. And I like, go, do that, girl, do that, boy. It's so amazing to remember that and never forget. And for me, it's about reminding them to never forget that. That's who you are. That's who you are at your core. And then when society pulls us in all these directions, and I love that, it's living your truth, living your purpose, right? When we awaken to that, it's such a beautiful process, isn't it? Yeah. Rollie, do you want me to call you Rollie or?
Yeah, Rollie's good.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, for whatever reason, whenever I log in through the system, it always kicks out my name, so I'm not sure. But yeah, no, Rollie's good. So, for me, it is, I've been on a healing journey for a long time. So I started when I was 14. And I've just continued and trying to figure out who I am and that identity, because we grew up in a lot of dysfunction. There was lots of chaos, and trying to figure out who I was, because I was the eldest grandchild of my mom was the eldest of 13 kids, and so I was the eldest grandchild of that section. I have an aunt and an uncle who are younger than me. So then there's those roles of those identities and kind of figuring out where that fits. I was the eldest of all of our in our family, of the eldest of 4. On my dad's side, I'm the second eldest of a family of 7. And so eldest grandchild of a family of 7. And so it was like all these different things and identities and figuring out how we're supposed to behave in one setting versus another setting, and what was allowed and not allowed, and what was allowed as little people. And as we got older, and that shifted because of well, when you get older, you're supposed to behave in this particular way. And but little kids were allowed to do this or not allowed to do that, or just being able to figure out and sort all those things around all the rules. And then society sets in, and then we have to follow new rules. And we go to school and we have to follow those rules. And I was almost 11 when we picked up and moved away from where I was born and raised. And they moved me into an entirely different community, where I had to then try and figure out who I was supposed to be there too. Because the school that I ended up going to had lots of cliques. And so trying to figure out, I grew up with the rest of the kids. They already knew our family. They already knew who we were. I already had my neighbors. I went to school with my cousin, who's the eldest of on my dad's side, in the grandchildren. And so and then I have an aunt who is 18 months older than I am. And so we did a lot of things together. And then they took us and they moved us into a community that we didn't know anybody other than the family that we were living with. And then I was the eldest of all the children in that home as well, because we had 2 families that were living there. So we had 4 adults, and then the 2 sets of children. And I was the eldest of them. And so then again, trying to figure out and sort out all those different things, and just trying to understand what was supposed to be normal and what wasn't supposed to be normal, and those kinds of things. And so being able to figure out who I was, and being able to be okay with not meeting everyone else's expectations, that the only expectations that I am expected to meet are my own. And so, so determining what those expectations are and how does that look, and how do I want it to look? And you were talking about grandchildren, and I'm so blessed that I actually get to live where my grandchildren are, and I get to see them every day for the most part, and get to spend some time with them and get to watch them grow, and I get to see how both of my grandchildren are. Both of my biological grandchildren are like my children. And so one is the spitting image of his father. So, and then his little sister, there are so many things about her that remind me of her uncle. And so it is just so amazing to be able to see that. And when you were talking about like, just be free, he's only 2 and being allowed to express himself. And when he's not happy, then trying to help him figure out like, why is he not happy? What is it that's going on? Because he can't express himself. And so it's a reminder to the adults around, and not to say that I never get frustrated with him, because he's 2 and he's busy, and and I do get frustrated. I'm human too. But it's that reminder to people that he's only 2. Like he's only 2 and he's only still trying to figure out
The
who he
world.
is and what's going on, and how he wants to do that. So like a great example is today, we walked over to my mom's, and we were only supposed to be there for a short period of time, but he was playing and he was having fun, and my mom was chasing him, and they were having a blast. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here and keep chatting while my mom and him are just having a blast. And then he just all of a sudden came up and said, ready to go home now. And it's like, here's this 2-year-old that we've been able to help him figure out where he's at so far at this stage, that he actually says, I'm ready to go home now. And then he came home and got ready for his nap.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just being
He's
able to allow myself that that opportunity to have grown into understanding and knowing that my grandson doesn't have to meet everyone else's expectations, and he gets to be free, and he still has to follow rules, and we still need to keep him safe, but he is able to come into his own to be able to say, okay, I'm ready to go home now.
Yeah.
And being able to help support him in that journey. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
love that.
so and
I love that.
I wouldn't be where I am with him had I have not explored this journey for myself.
Yes. Yes. I knew we were getting to that. That's how different is it now as a grandparent for me than it was as a parent? Like, I've had to apologize to my children because I didn't know back then, and we follow the generational lineage of how we were brought up, and then usually carry that into our own family. And it's wow. The other thing I want to say around that is that, who hasn't grown up in a dysfunctional family? Who hasn't, right? It's now navigating, who we are truly, rather than who we were then in that dysfunctional family, in that generational, generational, I call it trauma induced, but because we all have it. But the key too is the identity thing, right? Like you tapped into identity. Who are we? How do we fit into all these different situations? Well, we're programmed that to fit in the way that our ancestors, again, traveled through, and our lineage, our generational way of fitting in. And we were told that's the way we were, but that's not who we are. We now know who we are, and that's where we are right now. But it's been a long journey, I know, for me to get to that place. So, Sophia, I'd love your take. Where are you now in this returning to self journey? What does it mean for you right now?
Right now, Jo, and this is a wonderful thing. I've been sitting here. Right now, for me, returning to self is being present. Because over the last couple of years, through my own not being aware and my own allowing, whatever, I have become addicted to multitasking. And I've also realized that one of the reasons why I've done that is because all the outcome of multitasking. One is it brings on extreme overwhelm and anxiety. But the other thing is it takes me away from my feelings,
Mm.
right? Because I no longer have time or develop this addiction to not feel because I'm caught up in this and that and everything else, and I'm very good at doing this and that and everything else. But therefore, the outcome is that I'm not present with myself. So for me, returning to self right now is being present with you wonderful women, being here fully, not multitasking. Except I will give a slight disclaimer on that. We do have people watching, and I am, if anyone comments, I am watching comments. But that's also with my mind. You know, when we return to ourselves, when we're with ourselves, we are with ourselves, not here, there, and everywhere else,
Mm.
but connecting to our source.
Mm.
And that for me is what returning to self is right at this time, is being present.
I love that.
And I
100% love that. And actually, I had a mastermind lady say to me yesterday in my mastermind group that I asked the question, what have you been unwilling to do in order to not feel what you need to feel? And she sat with that, and then after we had a, open what came it through for them, and she said, you know what? I've been unwilling to be present, to
Yes.
actually feel.
Yes.
And we need to check in with ourselves, don't we? And say, well, where am I at? What am I not? What do I need to do? What am I being unwilling to do? Well, to be present, to feel. I love that. Thank you so much. And that's when we grow. That's when we expand,
Yes.
evolve,
Yeah.
and clear those feelings. Let them be there. Let the frustration be there.
Yeah.
Let it go through you and out into the earth, Mother Gaia.
Exactly.
He's there to hold that for you.
Mm.
So there's always that support. I love that. Thanks, Sophia. That's beautiful. So I wonder if we could tap into what does your inner wisdom feel like or sound like? Does it have what sort of, how do you know you're tapping into your inner wisdom? What does that feel like for you? Please jump in, Luana.
For me, it's it's a ball spinning in my abdomen. And yes, we have the chakras, the energy centers, and they are balls spinning in our abdomens. However, I can literally feel the woof, woof, woof of the energy when I'm tapping in to my inner wisdom. And then there comes this point of hesitation for me. So, for example, if I'm doing a mediumship read, and someone's trying to come in, there's this feeling in my abdomen where I feel my chakra spinning. And then I'll try to fight it for a second, depending on who it is. And then it's like, boom, it's done. During that time, I'm channeling, I don't know what I'm saying, but when I come out of it, I have some message that only my inner self could have remembered because I wasn't the one giving the message.
Mm.
So I am very in tune with the chakras and their systems and how they work in my body because that's how I healed, root to crown. That's how I healed. I knew I needed a stable foundation first. So root to crown is how I went, and that's how I heal my clients or aid them in their own healing journey. Please forgive me for that misstep. But it's just this ball of energy that appears in my abdomen. It doesn't feel like sickness or, stomach upset or anything like that. It literally feels like moving energy. And then I know. And then because I've stopped second guessing myself, because I used to do that all the time. Is this me or is this, really the message? Because I've released that and allowed that part of me to expand, to receive,
Mm.
it
Yeah,
always comes out the way it's supposed to.
that is beautiful. So you actually physically, you feel it, but you see it as well.
Yes.
The ball. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that.
It's quite the experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'd love to know what
And
would it like I'm looking at the background in your vision, your background in your Zoom there, and it's very colorful and very whoa
yes,
there. It's
this is an image I created as I was transitioning from Black Butterfly Goddess to Thunderbird Rising. And if I move to the side, you see the
ooh,
sun,
yes,
but somewhere in there, there's a woman standing. I don't think you can see her.
right.
She's standing looking at the sun, and I created this image to be the image. It's like the portal I went through to become Thunderbird Rising. So energetically, yes, I see colors very vibrant and flowy, and I see energy.
Yeah.
And it does come in all different types of colors. So, yeah,
Well,
I just got up and created this one night, and that was it.
wow.
But
So beautiful.
I want to go back to what you ladies touched on with your grandchildren. One of the things, my daughter had a channeled reading a couple of weeks ago. She asked me for an ancestor reading, and it was funny because two of them asked me within a week of each other, and I thought, what are y'all up to? But she's the only one who knew my mother. My mother transitioned the day after her 7th birthday. And my mother channeled for an hour straight to talk to her. She gave the other one a message. It was like, maybe 20 minutes. But she channeled an hour straight for her.
Wow. Oh, and we lost her. I'm sure she'll be back, but that is beautiful. What a gift, huh? What
It
a
is a
gift.
very beautiful gift.
Pardon?
That is a very beautiful gift.
Yeah. Would you like to pipe in here while we're waiting for her to rejoin? What does your inner wisdom sound or feel like, Rollie? Do you get any like vision?
It's a just knowing. And so before tapping in and learning about spirituality, because we grew up in religion.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was just kind of like, but I just know, like, so why but I would question it, not really understanding where it was coming from. And so then when I started to realize or understand that knowingness, that was my inner wisdom that knew what it is that needed to happen or that I needed to be doing. And having grown up with that anxiety and having lived with that anxiety and being able to differentiate between, is this fear or is this not? And so when it is that inner knowing, it's peaceful, like it is calming and it's peaceful. And I just know this is what we need to be doing. I just know this is what needs to happen. And so, and if, so like even with working with clients and a client will say something and it's like, hey, that something's not sitting, like something's just not sitting okay. And we'll explore that further. And then when it's that like, oh, it's like that ding, 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 or that light bulb moment, or whatever it is that happens, it's just, I just know that that's what it is that's happening. And so when, and working with my clients, I've just always just done it. I've just always just known. And it wasn't until I was working with, I had, a co-op student that was working with me, a college student that was working with me, and she would ask me, she's like, well, how, because she would come into my sessions with me and with clients' permission, and the clients would say something, or I would like, for some clients, I would just push a little further, or others, I would just kind of take a step back and like not really push. And so she was like, well, how do you know? And like, how do you know when to push and when not to push? And because like you're doing this differently in different sessions, because I would really just listen to the clients. And so I thought that I was just reading people's body language. And it's like, I'm just tuning into the fact that they're leaning in or they're pulling back, or whatever it is that was going on from their own self. And she's like, nothing is changing. Like you are making, like, you just flow with it. Like there's just like, there's no, I've been watching and I've been really paying attention to because we'd had this conversation a couple of times, and she's like, nothing is changing. Clients are not shifting or changing in their seats. Like there's nothing physical that's happening with the clients. And I'm like, well, yeah, the person leaned in, or like the person became like very rigid. Like, I don't want to go there. And so then she's like, okay, it's not happening. And then you never have two students, like you never have two of them at the same time. But for whatever reason, I had an overlap of 2 weeks with this particular person who was like questioning that whole piece. And so and they had been having conversations. And so then it would be like one client, like I would have one person come in, and then the other one would come in for the next session or whatever, with client's permission. And so then we were having these conversations, and I'm like, okay, well then maybe what we need to do is have you guys both come in and at the same time and see whether or not the clients, like we'll check in with clients, like the clients that I had been working with for a while are the ones that I asked, like if we could actually have two of them come in at the same time. And so I'm like, okay, so like on this day, like we're going to have you guys both come in at the same time, and you guys can then take notes. And like, so at one session, one person was paying attention to my body language, the other one was paying attention, and then they would cross those over with as many clients that would allow them both to be able to come in. And so then at the end of the day, we're having these conversations, and they're like, nothing shifts, nothing changes, but yet you know when to push and when not to. And I'm like, I just know. And so, and then that made me kind of question, because it's like, again, I always thought that I've been doing this for, I don't even know how many years at that point. And it's like, I've just always, it's body language. And they're like, no, it's not. And so then it was kind of like, so then after we went back, so that was like both of them were going to be done roughly about the same time. And so then it's like, okay, so I'm going to go through this. And so then it really had me questioning, was like, how do I know? Like, how do I know what's going on? And at that point, I hadn't tapped into my spirituality. I hadn't tapped into that inner knowing. I hadn't tapped into that piece. And it's like, same as like, it's like we're we're not going on that trip right now. We're going to wait and whatever. And it's like, we're just going to wait, and we're not leaving at that time anymore. I'm changing the plan. And it would be like, well, why are we changing? Because we just need to change the plan. And then there would be a car accident or something like that. And the biggest aha that I had was my children's swim coach had died in a car accident. And but just before that happened, we were supposed to be leaving, and we would have been at that exact spot or very close to that exact spot had we have left when we were intending to leave. And it's like, we're not going at that time. This is what we're doing instead. This is how we're doing it. Then we found out about the car accident. And then that was my biggest, I think that was my turning point. I think that was my like, I've always just, it's like, oh, just this happened or that happened. And
Yep.
and it's like, yeah, it was just coincidence. And it's like, no, I knew that we weren't supposed to go at that time. Did I know why? No, I had absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And so I don't generally, those kinds of things I don't question.
So you're just
Anymore.
trusting
And-
your you're just trusting that, knowing that inner knowing. That's phenomenal. Like
yeah, so
we don't know
but-
until we know, right?
right, exactly. So it's like, I don't know why we're supposed to do it this way. I don't know why this is supposed to be a change. I don't know. And so again, those are the things, and that's how I got to learn how to trust that, is that I would just say, I don't know why, but this is what we need to do instead. I don't know why, and then that is why. And
Yeah.
then when the ahas would come in later, it would be like, oh,
Now,
that's why we were supposed to do that.
yeah,
Oh, that's why that was supposed to happen. So now I
Yeah.
just do it. It's like, no, I'm not supposed to. So then I just don't. And
Yeah.
if a client says, well, I don't know. And it's like, then just don't. Right. So it's like, if that is where you're at, then just don't.
yes.
And if it's right or wrong, if it's the anxiety, we work through those feelings and work through deciphering how that happens. Like, so is this anxiety or is this not? And so it's like, maybe it is my anxiety, but we're not doing it right now. And
Yeah.
being able to just trust, and then later on figuring out, was it my anxiety or was it that inner knowing?
Yes.
And so like, those are the kinds of things that I work through,
Ah.
that I work through on my own, that I've actually helped others to be able to work through with them. So,
Yeah, I love that. So it's that feeling of knowing. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rollie. And it is something that we can learn over time to trust that process and what feels right for us. And I remember similar situations. I don't know why I was where I was, but it was because of the choices that I made. And the other thing on this is it's okay to do it and learn from it. And
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, because I've had many times I've done it and went, well, that wasn't the right decision, but I've learned, that's not the direction I need to go. But how about I just get myself back on track now and choose a different path? In many areas, relationship, investments, things that happen, right? We just chasing that next level of, I guess, adrenaline. And that's more so in the younger days too. And it was living from a survival place rather than, an intentional place for me back then, because I was still discovering who I was. I was still returning to me. So thank you. That's beautiful. Sophia,
Yes.
what do you add to that what does
Well,
your inner wisdom sound like or feel like?
well, I have to say ditto to Rollie for me, because it's also just a knowing.
Mm.
And I also have to, okay, so it's a knowing that it's in my heart, but it's also a stillness, a sense of calm, if you like, in my mind. Because and there's no questioning, it's just a yes.
Mm.
When it's not, then your mind's all over the place. But this is a strong yes, it's calm and you know it. And that does happen, but only when I'm more in touch with when I'm present. When I'm all over the place and caught up in techie and the doingness, and because this is where all my tech is here, when I'm caught up in the doingness, then I miss that inner wisdom, because that's when I start to question it. The mind gets in the way. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this what the? And that's when I come on to sacred divination and ask questions. Just hint, hint, sacred divination with our beautiful Tywanah. But it's just a embodied feeling that this is what it's meant to be. Like, this is the truth. This is whatever it is.
Mm.
Whatever that wisdom is about, that it's a whole embodied thing. There's no questions. And it's definitely there when I allow it, when I connect with it.
Comes back to that presence again, doesn't it?
It comes back to that presence. It comes
Being
back to
still.
taking that time to connect with our inner source.
Yes. And it's remembering to do that. For me, I do have it's an intention just to sit and ask the question. You
Yeah.
know, what is true? Because sometimes we get caught up in the old stories from the old patterns, and then where there's some discernment that we have to check in with. Yes, no, maybe, okay, well, we'll just sit with that. You don't have to decide straight away, right?
Yeah. And it's just really knowing. And when you have that feeling, that knowingness, you also know that the universe is looking after it. Connecting with the source, it's like it is guidance from the source. And no matter what it is, it could be the most craziest thing that in your mind, like, this is not possible, this is not going to happen. But when you really connect with that knowingness, you're connecting with the universe and you know that it will happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's trusting.
Just so solid, right? It's like,
Yes.
oh, yes.
It takes away all that craziness.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Sophia. And Tywanah, welcome back. You dropped out. Did you want to continue on the thread of what you were talking about, or?
I apologize. A doggy tripped over the power cord.
Life.
Exactly. So, what I was saying was my daughters, they had their readings, and after my mother channeled with my oldest child, I said, my granddaughter, she's Spitfire. She really is. She's a dragon. She can breathe fire. But I said, some of that needs to be tamed, but don't take all of that away from her because she is a high priestess. And so she's going to need that confidence that she has now. She's going to need that listen to me just because I got the message when she becomes an adult and is trained and things like that. So please don't dim their lights, like I did you all's, and like you, Jo Anne, I had to apologize to my children because I raised them with the awareness of an encyclopedia and a dictionary. I had no idea. I had no clue what this real world is really like in the sense of us being spirits having a human experience. Otherwise, their their upbringings would have been the complete antithesis of what it was. So I had to go to each one of them and apologize myself. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're watching and you're a parent who's felt like you've made some mistakes and you wish you had done things different, there is nothing wrong with sitting your adult children down and having that genuine conversation. In fact, it brings you closer and it helps them to respect you more and understand you more. You're more human, you're more relatable. You're not just a robot mom with all this list of expectations. So expand your awareness and open up yourself to the possibility that we didn't have all the tools, but we leave that part out. We don't say, I did the best I could with what I had. We just say, you know what? If I had all the tools I had now, your upbringing would be completely different. And that's why I love the way Rollie is involved with her grandson, because I love seeing this next generation who come in here like they came in third eyes wide open and ready to go. Whereas here we are 40s, 50s, 60s, some people are in their 70s, just now figuring it out.
Exactly.
Just now remembering
who they are,
who we are.
I love that. I love that. And I think this next generation is going to be a whole different game plan in how we're being, how they've learned from us in the work that we do now, right? It's just phenomenal. And I love to just, encourage that spirit of being who you are as a
Yes.
grandmother. So thank you so much. That is gorgeous. Um, we have a few minutes, and I'm just wondering if we have time to have another little conversation around, because I know there's people watching, and if you're watching and you want to drop in a comment how on these questions yourself and where you're at and how you feel your inner wisdom, your intuition, please do. And I'm sure we'll check the chat later and get back to you. But just wondering for the audience sake, a question around, is there a part of you that's just because we're made up of parts, right? There's many parts of us. And as Rollie explained, we show up in as a certain way in a certain situation. I was having this conversation yesterday in my wisdom circle as well. It's like I used to hide who I was. I used to show up the way they thought they knew me as. And now I show up as a different person. And people get uncomfortable with that. But when you come home to yourself, you don't need to please them. You are comfortable in your own skin and you can show up the way you are, the way you've transformed now. And, some people drop away, and even relatives drop away, even family, because they cannot be in the presence of that, which is not about you. Essentially, it's about them having to do the work as well and giving them that opportunity. But is there parts of you that have been waiting to be heard? This is more for the audience. And please, if you have something to speak about around this, is there parts of you that has been waiting to be heard, waiting to be seen? Something to ponder. What part of me is waiting to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted? And I think it's really important to work with that part, right? We can't work with everything all at once, although, some of us have the ability now that we've awakened, but just work with that small part. So is there something anyone would like to speak into around that?
So, yeah, I'm going to jump in because that is my whole purpose for, so I'm doing, it's called the Twist Challenge. So, and we're actually jumping in. So every day since the 25th of August, I've been jumping on live to be seen. And it's like being seen where I'm at, what's going on and what's happening. And it's not because I don't speak or that I don't jump on lives or that I don't have conversations, but there's been lots of things in my life that has actually been going on in the last year. And so I've kind of withdrawn. I've withdrawn with all the things that were going on. And it was like, I need to go back. I need to go back to showing up and being present and just having it happen. And so the song kind of takes me back to being a kid because like my parents grew up with that 50s and 60s. And so like that was lots of music in our household. And I love that genre of music. And so it's like, but it's fun, right? So like it's fun. It's getting our body moving and doing those things. And so showing up and just being present and just having and not worrying about what other people think, because like I said, there's been lots of things that have happened that I started going back into that, like, what are people saying? What are people thinking? And it's like, but that's not my journey. That's not my problem. That's not my thing. And so showing up and doing this journey is that reminder for myself, but also for others that we need to just be. We need to just show up and just be and have fun. And so now, because I'm doing it until the 21st, so it's like trying to find a creative way of doing it. And but it really is about just showing up. So like I've done it in the parking lot. I showed up in my pajamas in the rain. Clark and I intentionally, we actually went on the trampoline and danced on the trampoline. I convinced my husband yesterday for our anniversary to dance. And today I went over to my mom's and I got my mom to dance with me. And so it's just that just showing up and just being present and just doing it and holding myself to that commitment, because it's easy for me to just be able to slink back away and go back into hiding when I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide, and I'm firmly strong on that. Like, there's nothing about me that like if we're having conversations, so in my group I show up and however it is that happens, but publicly I've started to withdraw from. I not started, I had withdrawn, and so now it's just being present and just going back to being seen and being heard. And yeah, so it's sometimes we fall off that wagon because of circumstances that happen in our life, even though we're on this path. But this last 2 years has shown me some of the things that I've needed to remember. And so yeah, so just showing up.
I love that, Rollie. Oh, it sounds like so much fun. We're all going to show up and dance with you because that's so beautiful. And in that joy, right, is when we're raising our vibration to attract more, and you're affecting your ripple effect that you're having for everyone. But I think we all have the ability to default, right? Like go back to that old way. But we are wise women rising. Was the masterclass I did yesterday. Wise women rising. And as a wise woman, we show up anyway. We show up in our vulnerability. We show up in our pain. We show up in our whatever's going on in life, and we just do it. And that raises us back up. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Anybody else want to share anything around a part of themselves that's been waiting to be heard or seen, or what you've done to be like Rollie to do that?
I
was
was terrified. 2 years ago, I was terrified to start my TikTok live. Terrified. I started by flipping cards over, and I didn't even want you to see my hand. And it was because I was still living in imposter syndrome. I was still living, I'm this person in front of this person. I'm this person in front of that person. And once I fully began, not fully accepted, now I have fully accepted myself. But once that process started, it was like, who cares? Do they pay my rent? No. So what? People are going to call me names. I fought on the schoolyard for that. Who cares? And it started to be just that simple.
Yeah.
Who cares? Let them. I love that tattoo everyone's getting. It's on
Yeah.
shirts. It's going around social media like madness. Let them. They're going to judge you anyway. Let them.
Mel
Those are
Robbins.
broken parts of them
Yeah.
that are being mirrored back. And you can't do anything about that. So let them. Let them judge you. Let them call you names. I laughed at this man so hard today when he came in and told me, I'm not helping anyone in the world when I've got letters from people who told me I saved their life.
Wow.
But he's an oncologist studying to be an oncologist. And I said, studying for modern medicine. Interesting. And you think what I do does not help. You're bound by the US guidelines for oncology. Really didn't have much to say after that.
Yeah. You just know,
He
don't
didn't have
you,
much.
who your people are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And
I think that's
so
an important
I
piece.
just let them. I don't
Let them.
care. Judge me, call me names, whatever. Even my neighbor the other night, I went outside to get ice cream. I was in my inner child moment. I heard the ice cream truck and I ran outside like a little child in my robe. I was on the phone with my bestie. She says, "Don't forget your house key." And I'm like, "Oh yeah," I had to run back in and get it. And I'm standing outside and I'm excited because it's the same ice cream company from my childhood.
Mm.
And so I'm all excited and I get my cone and I get a cartwheel for the next day so I can put that in the freezer. And I'm walking back and my neighbor starts with me. And he likes to call me nasty names.
Oh,
And I just laughed. I laughed. That laughter made him so angry. He came downstairs and was 6 inches from my face about to hit me.
wow.
I don't care. I had no fear. I had no fear. I was laughing
Wow.
because
Yeah.
I
That's
am mirroring something to you that is unhealed in you, and
mm,
that bothers you.
mm.
So I let them.
Amazing. Beautiful, beautiful stories. Amazing. To stand in your truth that strongly is phenomenal. Thank you, Tywanah. It's brave too, I must say, to allow them to
I no
let
fear. I
them
was
when they're about to.
I had my ice cream cone in this hand, and I had put the cartwheel down where my phone was. I
Mm,
wasn't letting go of the cone.
no. Yeah, mirroring. That's a whole nother conversation we could do next month. And Sophia, would you like to just jump in for a minute
Just
before
a
we?
very quick minute, thank you. And I just want to acknowledge what Rollie and Tywanah has said. It's amazing because
Mm,
it's mirroring and it's bringing up not reminding me stuff like right. It's reminding me of things, and it's showing up externally is really important to our to what we want to do, not what other people want us to do.
mhm.
I just want to congratulate her. I've seen her twisting and I've been part of it. It's inspiring me.
Yeah.
But for me, especially at the moment, it's really, really important to show up for ourselves.
Yeah.
I'm very good at going live. I've been very good at being the external one. But when it comes to the work, the strength or whatever it is showing up for me and my time. When I tell myself, when I make a decision that, I'm going to get up at whatever time it is and I'm going to meditate, then I do that. Or that whatever that I want to do for me and not get caught up in the doing, which is so easy. I'm sure we all experience, oh yeah, I will meditate later. I've just got to do this first.
Mm.
Yeah, well, then it never happens. But it is really important as part of returning to the self is showing up for the self
Mm.
and honoring those little things, whatever it may be. It's listening to that wisdom,
Yeah.
listening to that child, listening to those inner nudges that I really need to do this, whether it's taking time to have a bath instead of a shower,
Yeah.
whether it's getting out and sitting in the sun instead of sitting in here surrounded by tech, whatever it is, but it's just acknowledging that and it's showing up for the self.
Oh, I love that. And it's a reminder of, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be the little things that you do, right? Just the small little moments that you can make those big, over time will make those big leaps, those big shifts. So just committing to that one small thing and then building on that. That's how I built myself, because meditation for me was like, the least thing I wanted to do. And I think what we resist, we need the most. So over time, I've learned I can sit and meditate easily now, but at the beginning, my mind wouldn't even stop. But just doing, even dancing, putting on the music and dancing in the morning, just to get your energy in that vibe, yeah, or going outside and hugging a tree. It doesn't matter. It's just something to start somewhere if you're listening.
Or putting on a red nose, sorry to interrupt, or putting on a red nose, or just having fun,
Having fun.
Yes.
laughing at
Yes.
yourself
Yes.
By putting on a red nose or blowing bubbles. I don't have any bubble. I don't have my bubble thing here.
I have bubbles. I
Yeah,
blow
I-
bubbles.
I love bubbles with the
I
grandkids. It's so
dance.
You
fun.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and honoring ourselves.
Staying in that childlike self that Tywanah was talking about, so beautiful, and it evokes those beautiful memories too, filling out, rediscovering who we truly are is part of that process. I have a journal prompt for everybody if they wanted to write it down today, perhaps our audience, but because I know you wonderful women, I mean, you've been through the journey, you have so much wisdom, and it's been a journey of discovering who you truly are, and you're now living that. I feel that, I see that, and we're committed to that. But if I were to, the prompt would be, if I were to return home to myself more fully, I would start by. So if you're watching, jot that one down. We may be able to put it into the chat and start there and take a quiet moment to just journal that in silent reflection. And the last thing I wanted to leave you with today is some affirmations that came through for me for everybody to may perhaps embrace. And they are, I am always, hang on, I always know how to come home to myself. I am always raising my standard. I can have the moon and the stars. And I know that I can. And I raise my vibration and my bets on me as an affirmation to recite in the mirror as a challenge every morning, because you love yourself so much. And that's something that we need to really embrace, that self-love. Knowing how to come home every single moment, or even through the challenges, through the storms that we all still have. And embracing that. So thank you all for being here today. Any last words of wisdoms, anything you would like to say before we close?
Can I just ask Jo quickly, because I'm just writing it down. Unfortunately, I didn't get all your affirmations. What was that journal prompt again? Because I'm just putting it into the chat.
Oh, yes. If I were to return home to myself more fully, I would start by ...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Any last words, anybody? It's been a pleasure and an honor to have such beautiful, wise women in this circle today.
It has been.
Thank you.
And thank you. Truly, truly thank you for facilitating a wonderful conversation, a wonderful wisdom circle. I do look forward to next month's. Same time, same place, same day, next month. So thank you. And thank you.
You're welcome.
And for Tywanah, and we will be, well, we have put all the links down, including your tribes, the Psychic Essence Collective and the Moon Medicine Circle. So thank you for everyone. We do have people watching us, so do click on those links below.
Wonderful.
So check out everything that Sacred You has to offer at sacredyou.love. Come and join us for free by putting a / join free, but more fun, more important, no, not more importantly, to have some fun, check out our quiz, which is a wonderful thing about all our archetypes that are coming up and archetype circles. And thank you. And do click on the links below, find out everything else about Sacred You.
Thank you so much, Sophia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Jo, for being an exceptional facilitator.
Aw,
Thank you.
You're
You are
welcome.
amazing.
I love having you,
Thank
lady.
you, Rollie.
Thanks,
I
Rollie.
always love your wisdom.
Looking forward to the next one, which I do believe maybe Tywanah's, I think. I actually haven't checked, but it's coming up soon. So,
Beautiful.
all right.
Beautiful work. Bye.